right? So I like to say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash, the ones, the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work and truth and sincerity. So real quick, just to recap, we was going into Matthew's 15:24 on that the Lord only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and he was sent, which means he was sent by the Heavenly Father, which is a cut on a Trinity, and we proved that in John 6:36, and then we went back into Matthew's 15:24, and then we talked about the Gentiles in Matthew's 10:5, which those Gentiles in Matthew's 10:5 is the natural heathen. So I was explaining that the Gentiles that the Lord was sent unto were Israelites that was scattered throughout the nations that have taken on to the customs of the other nations. In 1 Corinthians the 10th chapter, we was proving that. So now from 1 Corinthians the 10th chapter, we're breaking that down in Exodus the 40 chapter, and we started at the first verse going on down, and then I mentioned the incense about the Christian that says it's wrong to burn incense because it's of the devil or something like that, which here you can see that Moses is lighting incense unto the Lord. So Exodus 40:27, and he burnt sweet incense thereon as Yahweh commanded Moses, and he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle. And we're going to read down to about 38, because that's the point where Moses, when the letter was written to Corinth, which was the church in Corinth, explaining our fathers, right, that was under the cloud. It says, and he put the altar, Exodus 40:29, and he put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offer upon it the burnt offering and the meat offering as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he set up the lever between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash withal. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thither when they went into the tent of the congregation. And when they came near unto the altar, they washed as Yahweh commanded Moses. And Salakia, and he reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and he set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. So we're getting to the point right now. So it says, then a cloud covered the tent of the fire congregation, and the glory of Yahweh filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abided thereon, and the glory of Yahweh filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journey. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of Yahweh was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. So that's the point. And that's what Paul, which the letter that was written to the churches in 1 Corinthians 10 was talking about. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant how that our fathers were under the cloud, going back into Exodus 40, right? And all passed through the sea. So it was us, man. This is our history. This isn't the history of the small hats. This is our history. And we could prove that through prophecies. So let's keep going. It says, verse 2, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and the sea, and did all eat the spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual rock. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was a Mashiach, or Christ. So Paul is literally telling you who he's writing these letters to. He's writing these letters to Israelites. I mean, I don't understand how hard this can be to understand. It all says it right here. Then we can go back into the Old Testament and prove it. This is why the scriptures tell you in Isaiah 28:10, right? It says, let's get it. This is why it says what it says. I mean, I don't see how difficult this is. Isaiah 28:9. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and draw from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. So this is how you get the understanding of the Bible. We was able to prove it in 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, who was under that cloud, right? Who passed through the sea, and Exodus, the 40th chapter, starting at the first verse all the way to the 38th verse, so we can get nothing but context. And look, it proved it. So it's proven emphatically that those that were in Corinth that this word went to were Israelites. Plain and simple. Right? I mean, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. 1 Corinthians 12 now. Right? 1 Corinthians 12 will prove that we were what? We're Gentiles, right? 1 Corinthians 12:1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, who are the brethren again? Romans 9, we prove it. The Israelites. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, the Israelites, I would not have you ignorant, not knowing. So he's saying the same thing, right, that he was saying in 1 Corinthians 10. Look, this is crazy. Look, 1 Corinthians 10, moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant. He's saying the same thing. How all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea. So who is he talking about in 1 Corinthians 12? Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, the Israelites, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles. So Paul is calling Israelites Gentiles. That ye were Gentiles. What did he say? Carried away unto dumb idols, even as ye were led. Now, who was carried away? Let's find out. Right, so I'm gonna get let's go into 2 Kings, man. Because 2 Kings, or you can even go into Daniel's, where Israel was carried away from their land into Babylon, and they had to serve Nebuchadnezzar, and they had to bow unto the statue, right? So that one right there is a perfect example. And then you have 1 Corinthians 10, right? I mean, 1 Corinthians 17, and we could start off at the first verse to get a little bit of context, right? In the 12th year of Hazah, and the 12th year of Ahazah, if I'm saying it right, Salakia, king of Judah, began Hosea, the son of Aliah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he have done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. And the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away unto Assyria and placed them in Halah and Harbar by the river of Gozan, in the city of the Medes. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods. Well, what did it say? Wait. See, you see how we could just go back into the Old Testament and prove what is being said in the New Testament? I mean, how hard could this possibly be? Who are those Gentiles in 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter? Now we already proved in 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, going back into Exodus, the 40th chapter, right? Those that were under the clouds. Then it says, "You ye brethren, be not ignorant, for those that were carried away unto dumb idols." You have to be carried away unto dumb idols, which means if they weren't carried away unto dumb idols to begin with, who were they worshiping? Yahweh Shai. But because Israel was committing many sins and going against Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, going against Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, the Lord had what? He had men of other nations carry Israel away unto different lands and had them worshiping other idols. So let's get it again. Let's start back up at let's start back up at let's see. Let's start back up at 4. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land, and went up to Samaria, and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria, and carried Israel away into Assyria, and placed them in Halan, and in Habar, by the river of Gozan, and in the city of the Medes. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh the power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods. So let's go back. Salakia, we're going to have to end it from here. I'm going to say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakak Wadash. Double unto the apostles and elders of GMS. And salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work in truth and sincerity. I like to say Shalom.